it's ridiculous when a man is that old, that close to the end, that inarticulate. It's terrible mistake of his to try and suggest that there was an apostrophe. You drew a picture there though of the people before he went on saying, "For God's sake, don't stir up the supporter base." Why were they letting him speak with a few days to go? It's not a question of what he's allowed to say. The Labour Party didn't let David Lammy speak for 6 months because they knew that if he did, they'd lose. It's how they kind of not just chained him in a dungeon and left him water and some cat kibble, and just hope he's still alive when it's all over. I do not know how they could let him out. It's absolutely catastrophic.
He's getting in trouble again with his own garbage comment relating to another controversial joke made about Puerto Rico by a speaker at a Trump rally. This is classic Biden all over. I think when you hear the whole thing, we'll play the full 27 seconds of him speaking. Most of it makes no sense, and then there's a clear bit in the middle which is a bit disputable. The original joke, if you remember, referred to Puerto Rico as a garbage island. That was the joke made before the Trump rally. Here's Biden talking about it.
Just the other day, a speaker at his rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know, or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware. They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of seen as unconscionable, and it's un-American. It's totally contrary to everything we've done.
Let's hear the bit again that's causing the grief.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Now, the question is, did he mean to put an apostrophe there, a secret apostrophe, or not? Are Trump supporters garbage, or are the things they say is the garbage of them? Is that the point? Donald Trump seemed to know exactly how to capitalize on such comments. We've just had classic Biden. This is classic Trump.
Remember Hillary? She said deplorable. And then she said irredeemable, right? But she said deplorable. That didn't work out. Garbage, I think, is worse, right? But he doesn't know. You have to please forgive him. Please forgive him, for he not knoweth what he said.
It's just this ridiculous. Flick, what do you make of it? Do you think he was saying that the supporters were garbage, or the words of the supporters were garbage? What do you think? Or whether or not he was saying it, do you think many people will infer that he was saying that?
I think listening to the two of them side by side, they sound like old folk on a sun porch in a retirement home, just having a go at each other. I don't think either of them should be on a major platform running for president. But having said that, I think Biden shouldn't have said what he said in terms of the impact on Kamala's campaign. I think he should have said what he said because he's right. Anybody who thinks that is effectively it's a garbage position, if you want to use that word. And I also think that people made a great big fuss about Hillary saying basket of deplorables and that turned the vote. No, it didn't, because people were already going to vote for Trump. And I think in this case, nobody who was thinking, oh, I might vote for Kamala is suddenly going to say, oh, do you know what? I'm really upset with Biden. I'm going to run off and make my vote for Trump. Of course they're not, because the divisions are far deeper than that. Whether or not there was an apostrophe in supporters, I think that he is stating what he believes to be true, and I think it's not completely unreasonable.
I guess the question is not that he'll convert anyone, but it might... I'm sure Kamala Harris's people said to Biden before he spoke, whatever you do, don't wind up the base anymore, because it's going to be a turnout election perhaps. So maybe the only downside is that it could wind up the Trump lot more, and they'll therefore be more likely to vote. That's, I suppose, a possible risk.
I'm not that worried. I think the people who are going to vote for Trump will vote for Trump anyway. They're the passionate, full-in supporters, and the people who are wavering won't be swayed by this, because it's not Biden they're voting for. It's Kamala, who I'm sure is already distancing herself from that ambiguous statement.
She indeed did that very, very quickly. Indeed, Flick, very good point. Giles, you've been known to be irascible on the question of punctuation in your time, I believe. What do you make of it? What do you think he was trying to say? What do you think he ended up saying? Are the two the same?
Oh, I mean, do you know what that's like? It's classic marital row in that the things kicked off and you go back and say, I didn't say what, there was a hidden apostrophe in what I said, and it changes everything. I didn't call you a lazy cow who doesn't do the washing up properly. I said if I had married the sort of, it's like that sort of thing. It's the idea that he would, it's also when someone slurs their speech so much as Biden, like you just don't know whether that is the age or whether that's the drugs they've got him on, but everything sort of slurs. You can't really risk the problem of the apostrophe. It's like if your name is Giles and people say, Giles's sausages, people go mental trying to decide where to put the apostrophe in, and people will often put a possessive apostrophe between the Gile and the s.
Yeah.
They'll go Giles apostrophe. I personally do it Giles apostrophe S, Giles's. To sort of, not that I really know anyone apart from me called Giles, so I don't say it often. But it's ridiculous when a man is that old, that close to the end, that inarticulate. It's a terrible mistake of his to try and suggest that there was an apostrophe. You drew a picture there though of the people before he went on saying, "For God's sake, don't stir up the supporter base." Why were they letting him speak with a few days to go? It's not a question of what he's allowed to say. The Labour Party didn't let David Lammy speak for 6 months because they knew that if he did, they'd lose. It's how they kind of not just chained him in a dungeon and left him water and some cat kibble, and just hope he's still alive when it's all over. I do not know how they could let him out. It's absolutely catastrophic. Although it's nice that he clarified that he's talking about the Puerto Rico in Delaware.
Yes,
I think it's very clear they should make that. The Puerto Rico, quite near to Cuba, is a different place, and they're absolutely not garbage. It's the Puerto Rico in Delaware, a little-known island that only he's been to.
That was the bit that bit didn't give you a lot of confidence in what followed. The rule of the TLS, if anyone's interested about apostrophe S's, anyone Jesus or older got S apostrophe S.
Right.
And anyone younger than Jesus just got an apostrophe.
I don't know anyone younger than Jesus.
So basically it would say Jesus's shoes and Dickens' shoes.
Oh.
So you would do an apostrophe. I mean, it's mad. I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying you have to have a rule.
So you mean but it's Moses's. Moses being older than Jesus.
Yes, and Socrates. Yeah, you'd have Socrates' sandals, but you'd have Dickens' pie or whatever. The rule was I'm not saying it's a good rule. I'm saying that you have to have a rule. You have to have a system.
So St. Giles, who was the patron saint of cripples and homeless people, he was in the sort of 5th century, so he would have been St. Giles's.
No, he would have been St. Giles apostrophe. He'd have been fine because he's younger than Jesus.
So it looks like you're wrong, Giles.
He's not wrong.
It's tricky. I feel marginally more important than Jesus, and therefore should get money.
I definitely know that you think that.